there room for both of us?
Yes, there is.
Hi, from Tobacco Docks in London. We're actually feeling a little bit depressed right now because we're in the middle of Tobacco Docks where there is the London Craft Beer Festival going on, of which we are not invited. And so instead, we've got cans of Heineken, which we think if we actually got, if anyone saw us with these, we'd probably be kicked out for dissent. But never mind. So welcome to an AMA. It's on Friday, which is unusual for us, but we're doing it on a Friday so that we could be in here in the studio space in Tobacco Docks, the Rattle. So the Rattle is a music co-working space. Loads of cool stuff going on. Check out their website and you'll see all of the different artists that are working here, and lots of like people in A&R and in music tech and stuff like that. This is kind of like a collective of people working on music stuff. And we're here today because we wanted to do a live kind of test, if you like, of Dubler. So we've got what have we got set up?
So we've basically got the Dubler kit running through. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's monitors on either side here. And we're basically just going to be pushing that throughout the monitors as loud as we can, reasonably.
Not as loud as we can. we did a pre-test and it can go really loud.
Yeah. So just seeing like how far you can go whilst using Dubler in a live situation, basically seeing when it would feed back. I mean, we're pretty confident with it because we tested it. So like I said, we'll see how loud. Tell us if we start to break your headphones.
Yeah, it might. So the audio might start getting worse as it starts to kind of get too loud, and we'll start to clip, and then we'll just kind of switch it off really.
But that's basically, whilst this is going on, if you have any questions about using Dubler in a live situation, just let us know in the comments, and we'll get on it straight away.
Yeah, and this probably isn't going to cover absolutely everything. So for example, we were eyeing up, there's a drum kit in the background, and we have done some stuff before with miking up the drum kit, and we have done some stuff with playing whilst the drum kit's going on, or doing like call and response and stuff. And that's a whole that's probably a whole AMA in its own right, of like using it maybe as part of a band setup. I don't know, but we probably won't get onto that today because otherwise we'll spend all afternoon. But Kelly is shooting on Instagram. Hi, Instagram. Also, if you've got any questions, throw them in. Kelly, do you want to kick us off with a question? Have you got some ready to go or not?
Yeah, I don't have any on Instagram right now, but as George says, if you do, please let us know. But we can kick off with one that was sent in before. Okay, so let's have a look which one's going to be good. Since you started with this project, I have asked about the real-time voice-to-MIDI conversion, and I've never seen a real demonstration about it. I want to use it live and convert my voice into an instrument in real time. Is that possible? I haven't placed my order yet because I haven't seen it, but I've just seen the drums conversion. I'd love to see it with a flute or trumpet or something.
Yeah,
cool.
So there are a few videos floating around, but I guess we haven't done anything just solely focusing on that. But we can do a quick pitch to MIDI demonstration. I mean, that's it simply. We've got that set up at the moment with basically just like a synth on Ableton. But if you have...
I could actually just switch that because that's on a... If I just put that purely on the strings, turn it up a bit. Sorry, there's also a drum kit on. Right, so actually there's two of them. So it's probably easy just to do that.
Yeah.
So what I've actually got, which is affecting the sound there, is there's also an effect mapped. So if I kind of go, so not only can you do kind of pitch to MIDI, but you can also do the different kind of timbre qualities of your voice. I'm going to check this right now. Timbre, timbre. How am I saying that? Am I getting that right?
I'd say timbre, but
okay, cool.
It's different for everyone.
That's very diplomatic.
Yeah. But I mean, so like I said, we've got it on a synth there, but if it's, if you're talking about MIDI, it's obviously whatever you want it to be. So if you have a flute or saxophone plugin that you particularly like, then for sure you can do it. If you're playing piano in a live situation, you want to put your flute plugin over the top, you can absolutely play piano and hum or sing melodies over the top, and in real time, you can get that going. So I mean,
I've actually mapped it as well too. So the pitch, like I said, but it's also got a bandpass filter on this. So if I go, it's just giving the straight kind of string sound. But if I go like, it's adjusting the center of the bandpass filter, so I can also affect. So you can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with Ableton and MIDI, with the mapping, it's just as much as your imagination or skills can go, really. There's be plenty of stuff we haven't thought of that you could map to vowels that you could absolutely put on. So, but yeah, for sure, live situations would work absolutely fine.
So, and on that, should we do our first live drum thing? So what we've got on the setup is Dubler's coming through my laptop, the live stream's coming through Liam's laptop. We've got a Yamaha mixing desk over there that's got a PA that we're putting everything that comes out of Dubler through. And we've also got a separate set of monitors as well in case we wanted to put some extra audio in, so we can just have background audio to see how it responds to that as well. But just quickly here on, this is just some beatboxing on the live setup. It's quite loud in the
that's
room.
Pretty
it's
loud,
not super loud, but you can see it's having no problem. If I talk like here, it's obviously going to pick up all of that. But in terms of it's going to pick up what's close to the mic, but it's not getting any feedback from the speakers, so it's not starting to like go crazy. So I'm going to turn it up a wee bit. Yeah,
I mean, you'll probably even notice as we've been doing the stream, George has been talking fairly close to the mic, and it's still not really picking up.
Yeah, I'm not turning it on and off between.
Yeah.
Although if I did get too close, it might start to go. If I get really close,
yeah. It's pretty close. Yeah.
Some of the synths coming through as well, but that is really quite loud now. I mean, we could go louder on the desk, but maybe we'll do that later when we start to damage people's eardrums. That's actually really loud. We've put not a compressor. We've got like
got a limiter on it.
We've got a limiter so that we don't end up just having awful clipped noise. But in the room, that is really quite loud.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I just jump in with a couple of questions from Instagram?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the curious I assume this person's name is there a mute switch or power switch on the mic itself?
So there was in one of the earlier prototypes of it, and we actually took it off because we found it to be slightly annoying. When we did some testing with a few people, that was one of the main pieces of feedback people got, being like, we don't need an on-off switch on it. And part of that is because on Dubler itself, so if you come around on Instagram, you can maybe see this. We've got these... So what I'm just showing the Dubler interface. You've probably hopefully all seen it before, but we've got these two sides, triggers and controls, and both of them can actually be switched off. So if I come up and talk in front of it at the moment, then obviously it's going to be hearing loads of drum sounds. But I could just turn those off, and then if I talk in front of it, I'm just getting synth sounds. And as well, obviously you can turn the controls off. So rather than have the button on the actual microphone, you can just turn off Dubler as an input. And you can turn off individual things, so each of the dials as well, the A, the E, the U, the you can lock those. We just found it to be slightly more delicate than just having an on-off on the thing, on the actual mic, which then can actually cause more annoyance if you accidentally switch it off when you didn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, when I started using the mic that had the on-off switch on. It was definitely one of the things where you're working on something, you turn it off, and then you're working, you go back, and we found it just disrupted workflow quite a lot, having that switch on and off. So it's better to like have a thing in the software that was more,
And you forget why it's not working. That's the you would think it was so straightforward. You're like, oh, it's not working, and then you realise, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, it's just you switched it off.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Another question, or?
Yeah. So we have another question from Cameron Tana. I hope I've got that right. Which is, how accurately does it interpret the notes, and have we found any errors, and how often will we see updates once it's released?
There's a few questions in that.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of how accurate it does notes, I mean, so it has some variations because obviously it's quite dependent on the person using it, because the voice is very temperamental. So between me and George, there'll be lots of differences in accuracy. So like for me, it can be sometimes not really accurate, but I can adjust that using the settings in Dubler. So things like pitch stickiness and key lock and stuff, I can turn up. So when my voice isn't hitting a note quite perfectly and it's maybe going in between a couple, I personally will have the pitch stickiness a bit higher, so it will keep me on one. And again, if I then want to make sure that's in the key of something I'm working on, keep it in that key. But I mean, we've showed some demonstrations, but basically in terms of the accuracy, it's...
the thing is, the accuracy, is a term like accuracy. The accuracy is very high. If I got like that we got a piano over there. If I went and put the microphone next to the piano and played a key, it would get that right. You know, it's our pitch tracking algorithms are very accurate. The thing that is less accurate and that's more variable are people's voices. So this is one of the nice things about our UI is we've got this pitch wheel that shows you what the output note is, but also shows you what you're singing, and you can see, I'm actually singing slightly sharp, and then you can actually bring it down, so it gives you the feedback to help adjust that. But as Liam says, we then have certain things to try and help. So pitch stickiness, for example, what that means is if I go from one note to the next, if I have a high pitch stickiness, you need to get all the way to the next note before it'll trigger it. If I have a low pitch stickiness, I just need to get over halfway. So that means if you're not very good at holding a note, then you can make sure that it's held. But if you want to be able to float between notes really quickly, you can turn that down. Depends on your kind of vocal confidence, I suppose.
Yeah, that accuracy could also like go even further than just like the notes with like pitch bend and stuff, where if you set the pitch bend to the same as something in the software, it can accurately sort of go with you as you bend between notes. If you go, ooh, you can also make that bend with you incredibly accurately. So like I said, the software and algorithms, will keep really in tight with what you're doing. But it's,
Make that quite a little bit louder maybe, hang on. So you can see it's following my voice absolutely accurately, but if I was to go then it's going to also do that.
Yeah.
So you get out what you put in.
And you said about updates in that question as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
How
So
regularly?
updates super exciting because updates will be, it's difficult to say exactly how regular they'll be. For sure, we're going to be continuing to work on the software all the time, and any time that we create something which is worthy of releasing and it hits that standard, we have quite high standards, so there's quite a lot of stuff that we've worked on that we're like, is this good enough to get in yet? And so we'll see, and those things, some of them might not get into the first release, but they will come in subsequent releases. And all of those will just be sent out as updates. So Dubler version 1, there'll be version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. When there's something more fundamental, there'll be Dubler 2, and that'll be slightly different, but that's a way off yet.
Yeah, was that all of them in there, I think?
So
Did we get all of those?
I think that's about it. We'll go back to some of the ones from before. So, okay. And this question from Max Rosenberg. Can I use Dubler as a vocoder or pitch bender? Like making a saxophone solo modulation by voice?
So I mean, like pitch bend you mentioned there, we just mentioned about pitch bend, so you certainly can do that. Say saxophone solo, for sure, if you had a saxophone plugin, you set the pitch bend to the same, then you can get pretty solo-y, pretty shreddy with it if your voice allows it. But
the one thing I'd say though is it's not, vocoder isn't quite the right way of thinking about it, because with a vocoder, traditionally at least, your voice goes in, it does some kind of manipulation on your voice, and then the sound comes out. And the output sound is a direct manipulation of the input. Maybe it goes through some filters, maybe it goes through some compressors or whatever, some effects. But you could actually back calculate from it. But with Dubler, it's a MIDI controller. So the voice gets translated into MIDI information, and then that MIDI information could control a saxophone or could control any kind of woodwind or brass instrument. You couldn't then take that woodwind and brass instrument and get back to your voice because it's not a direct manipulation of the input. So yes, you can control it, but actually the types of sounds that you can control are much wider, much greater depth of instrument control with Dubler than you would with a vocoder, which is, like I say, the voice basically. Yeah, the voice. Yeah, like we've said a few times, the voice sort of like is a tool rather than it's a MIDI tool, MIDI instrument rather than an instrument in itself. Is a controller.
A controller, is what we're using the voice as. So anything, voice-wise, there, we've spoke about it a bit before. There are options of having audio in, but we're talking about the voice as a controller. So vocoders wouldn't quite work.
Just laughing, so I keep looking over it so we can see some kind of monitor of the screen that we're getting back, and we both look so pasty.
My bald head, my shaved head is quite shining right now.
This room is super cool, but it's very dark, and so we've got lights either side.
If I stand further back here, no, still bright.
Still bright. Oh well, anyway.
So on Max's question, it goes a bit further, and he's asking, thanks telling us thanks for updating lots, but he's asking when are we going to get the kit, and then we've actually had 2 questions asking when the actual delivery of the kits is going to happen.
Okay, so I'm going to give a very quick update on actual process, but also Kelly, who's standing behind the Instagram camera right now, can also give a little bit of an update on that.
Yes.
So briefly on the development side, we are on schedule for our release in October. It's going to be end of October at the moment is what we're kind of aiming for. The microphones are, we've just had another prototype sent over, and that is going to be the final prototype. That's going to go, that's into production now. So they haven't put those on on the boat yet, but that will be happening end of August, start of September. Get them towards the end of October, and then there's also the software development that's going on at the same time. So there's still a few things that we're tying up on that. Our UI, the skinning's not completely finished yet, so we're actually going to have some update videos on that when it's done. So quite a few nice reveals there. You've already seen our kind of like dark mode, but there's a little bit more to it than that. So there's a bit more work to be done on that, but everything is on schedule at the moment. So that's for end of October. The other part to it is, of course, how we actually get the kits out to you and post them out, and that's what Kelly was looking at yesterday.
Yes, so I'm just turning the camera around now. So yeah, yesterday we went to go and see the new warehouse where things are going to be delivered from. So basically, as soon as things arrive in the warehouse, we're going to be able to get them out to you super quickly, no matter where you are in the world, and everything's on schedule for that too. And we actually have a private Facebook group where we'll be updating more specific things like that. So if you're interested in that process, then please just send us a DM and I'll send you an invite to get into that private Facebook group.
Cool. So move the mic back for our YouTube.
Yeah, we're doing everything through this like little condenser. Is it condenser? Because obviously we've got the PA pointing right at us, and we're trying to find a way of having it so you can hear our voices but not be absolutely drowned when I do a demo, which is tricky because it is really drowning. More questions?
So, my understanding is that you can record all MIDI instruments using your voice. I've seen a lot of drum demos, and granted, I haven't been reading everything, so that could be a dumb question, but I'm assuming it's a lot more than just drums.
Yes, it is anything and everything. It's MIDI information. So yeah, basically, voice goes in, takes MIDI information, triggers, pitch, all sorts. We spoke about vowels and things. Yeah, they're whatever you want. It can be in your DAW. It can be anything that takes a MIDI input, whether it's hardware, whether it's in a DAW, if it takes MIDI input, Dubler works with it basically.
So it's also automation as well. So that's not just like the triggering, like we say, you've seen the drum videos. It's not just the triggering of samples. It's not just then the pitched melodies, but also the kind of automation. So like the control of parameters. So there's a good time to show a bit more of a demo. So I've got a kind of bass. There's a few instruments going on at the moment, but if I kind of go, let's get that bass on. Hang on. So I don't know how well it's coming across because it's quite low and it might not convey really well over YouTube. But I've got this this bass going with the kind of beat. But I've also mapped an arpeggiator onto like a kind of an R sound, so I can control the arpeggiator on the bass. So yeah, then you could record all of the kind of the automation that goes with what you're doing, just like you would if you were turning dials on your Akai, your MPC or whatever. Yeah,
it's also it's that really interesting thing where you can start introducing rhythms with vowel sounds and things. Say you've got you're humming a melody to a synth, you can introduce something like a gate or a tremolo that's set to the rhythm of your project. So it works alongside if you've already got a beat going on, you can hum and sing, and then with a vowel or something instantly introduce a rhythm to it, and get it straight in, like quantized with a project. So yeah, very, very exciting.
You can barely contain the excitement. So more questions, or should we see how loud we can get it?
I think we're kind of cool on questions.
Are there any on YouTube at all?
I don't think we have any on YouTube. If anyone else has any questions on Instagram, please shout out, because I will.
Or if
make
you're watching
sure
this
they get
later, put them in the
answered.
comments, and then we'll answer them in the next AMA.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or just
yeah.
send us a
Are we
message.
consistent with
We're
that? We
super
say that
good
every
at
time, but I
answering
don't remember
questions.
checking
I
the
think
last
I
time.
think we're pretty on top of it.
Yeah,
we
we're
try
really on
we tried
top
to
of
be, yeah.
questions.
All reasonable questions.
Okay, let's try one more thing, which is so another thing which is a good test of feedback sounds is taking like this is reasonably arbitrary, but take a piece of music and then seeing if you can like beatbox along to it. That's a good test of latency. Can you keep in time? And also, obviously, there's then a lot of background noise, which is like a little test of can you perform in a live environment.
That has also reminded me of someone who mentioned in the last question that I said we'd mentioned in today's AMA was something about CPU usage. So they were asking about Dubler and what does it use in terms of CPU, because that's obviously a big thing with a lot of producers or stuff is that, you know, you've got lots of plugins, you've got lots of stuff going on, CPU gets quite scarce, you know, you're getting pretty, you want to ration it well. So yeah, I said we'd mention it. We can't, if we can probably show it on Instagram because we can't show the actual number.
This probably isn't the best. This is like, we're a few versions ahead of this in our development. And one of the main things that we've been working on is CPU usage. And it's a shame that Daven isn't here, or Cam, because they would be able to tell you with massive smiles on their face how much they brought down CPU usage. Yesterday, was it yesterday or Wednesday? There was a big breakthrough just on that, actually. I think they brought it down by like 20% in one day. So now it's like, you know, it's super low.
Yeah, especially I think like in an Ableton project, you know, you've got it in the top right hand all the time. If you go, say like George, if you quickly go now. So currently it's on 2%, and if you hum or beat something into it, it goes up. So the plugins get engaged, goes up maybe like.
Just trying to get it to, if you put a lot of automation in, that can sometimes drive.
Yeah, so the difference between using Dubler and say using a keyboard or another MIDI instrument is it's almost impossible to tell in the Ableton project in those CPU at the top. If you use a controller and those plugins are active, say you go up to 10%, with Dubler it will be around the same ballpark, 10 to 15 in that, top right corner.
One of the things on the certain Macs, including this one actually, which is annoyed me a bit because I spent a lot on trying to get one that would be really good at graphics. The graphics usage on them could be one of the higher things, but we've put a lot into helping bring that down. So actually, it should all be. I mean,
I use Dubler on my laptop. Is an old early 2012 MacBook, I think. Not a particularly great machine. The fan's a bit crap in it, but even with that, Dubler has never really given me a problem with like CPU. Most of the problems just come from where you normally encounter CPU stuff, where you're loading like loads of, I don't know, Spitfire audio plugins or something, it starts to break up. But Dubler's never posed any more of a problem than any other MIDI stuff. So I hope that calms whoever was asking about CPU. But
well, I think we'll get, let's answer that question again when Daven's here and he can actually give some numbers.
Yeah, he can crunch some numbers and
update CPU. Quick question from Matt. He'd like to know where you got your yellow shirt from.
Actually, good question. So this used to be, because it's nice and bright in here, it looks slightly better than it is. It used to be such a nice bright yellow, and then the very first wash, I fucked it up and I washed it out a bit. But it was from these designers that originally had I think they were originally Vivian Westwood, and they set up their own thing, streetwear, called 8 Dicks, which just have some of their stuff. That got, they moved on from that onto another one, and now on a third, but this came from like a sample sale when they were closing from one of the others.
Wow. And they're called 8 Dicks.
They don't exist anymore. That's 8 DIX, but that doesn't exist but it's the same people that did that are now on their next incarnation.
Do you know what? I think we've had that question before about that t-shirt.
I didn't expect a proper answer. Like, where did you get that from? A full backstory with everything.
This is why I said I always waffle on to make these AMAs shorter.
What were we talking about before?
We were going to have some music played and see if we could beatbox along to it. Yes. It's not going to be a performance.
Yeah, sorry if it sounds weird because obviously you'll be hearing out of these speakers weird. And there hopefully shouldn't be any feedback, but through the mic that you're hearing us through now, you'll hear from the other monitors.
I'm just going to,
Oh, you might want to mute the YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, probably want to turn it down a bit on here because it's pretty loud. Maybe.
Okay.
Well,
let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, what track are we going with?
I'm going to go for Nov.
Okay.
Nov.
You want to skip it in far enough so there's a beat? Okay,
yeah,
go for it.
You're just doing drums, doing it.
Yeah, we could put. Actually, good point. No.
I'm not carrying guns, on my ones I'll make them run. I'm not carrying guns, on my ones I'll make them run. I'm not carrying guns, on my ones I'll make them run. I'm not carrying guns, on my ones I'll make
It
them
works.
run. Man, they're smart when they see me. Don't run up their gun when they see me. Be calm, show love when they see me.
That's nice.
Man,
That's
better run
calm,
when
as
they
they
see me.
say.
That's calm.
That's calm as Nov. Well, actually, no, is it Joss that says that? It's calm.
They all say it.
Yeah. That's nice. That's Nov's new track. So yeah, we won't get any feedback from that. It's quite loud in here. I'm going to go and sit in a quiet room after this and let my ears recover.
But shall we crank it? Should we see how loud?
Oh
it
yeah,
can
why
get?
not? Let's crank it. This is good.
So yeah,
The point at which it starts to get any feedback. Let's not. If it doesn't start to feedback when it gets quite loud, don't go any louder.
of course, yeah.
Hash 2K is just saying legend, thumbs up.
Thanks, Hashtag. Well, it's just starting there. Do you notice? It's just starting to. Oh, I'm running out of breath. It's loud. It's loud. Okay, I think we're aware that works fine. I don't need it any louder. Wait, turn it down a bit and let's try the synths, because that might come earlier. I'm a bit nervous about these. It's going to be really loud.
With pitch is obviously a bit more.
Yeah. Oh, my ears. I'm really close to the speaker. It's loud. It's not feeding back, but it's really loud. There we go. That's the feedback. Okay. I can't take it anymore. It turns out you can use it in a live environment. We want to do it with the drum kit and other stuff like that to test more of the feedback, but it doesn't feedback on itself, even when you have it really loud and the speakers like literally.
Yeah, there's
1
a
meter
very
away
short
from it.
distance. Yeah.
I have a quick
Such
question.
a headache. Yeah.
What's the system requirements?
So if you're on Windows, it's Windows 7 or newer, and we have an ASIO driver written specially for the Dubler microphone. So I think on some of I'm not a Windows user, but I think on some of the newer Windows stuff, the ASIO driver is less important, but on some of the older ones it's more important. But either way, that is what helps bring the latency more in line with Mac. And on Mac, can you remember what the minimum was? 10.2, is it?
Possibly something
It's
very
on-
low down. I think
It's actually it's on our it's on the Kickstarter page or on the Indiegogo page. It lists it out. I think it's 10.2, but David might be screaming no.
I think it's 10.2 as well. A bit off piece, but we're having someone requesting to be in our live video. Maybe they've got a question. Should we give it a shot?
Yeah.
Sure. If I might invite them in.
Okay. We're just waiting. Bonjour, Dan. We're just waiting.
I don't know if you can hear that over YouTube. We're getting a question in.
Yeah, someone's joining the live stream on Instagram. This is the first time.
Hi,
so.
Dan. Hello?
We can hear clicking.
Dan!
Is he,
Dan!
Just clicking.
is he Morse code?
Are you Morse coding? I think he's a little bit shy. Yeah, a little bit shy. Okay, it doesn't matter because we've got another question from Maggie. You need to wear earplugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
With a 24 decibel reducer.
You're totally right. I don't want to, we're not trying to show off here, but I honestly thought that Dubler wouldn't be able to go as loud as this before we'd have to just turn it off because it would just start breaking up.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the limit has been our eardrums, which is a good thing for Dubler. But a
Yeah,
bad
we
thing
didn't
for
think
the
we'd
test.
reached that point where we couldn't actually take it in the room, but it did.
But it has. My ears are going to be ringing tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're right. Next time, earplugs.
We've had a few new people join, so maybe we just do a tiny demo to end on.
Okay. Let me do this. Is it really loud still? Or I'm
Let
scared
me
of
go
it now.
check real quick.
Yes, it's still quite loud.
Yes, right, that should be.
Oh, so much. That's much more palatable.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the Iron Man kit on Ableton. Very basic, but I like the.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so also someone called Stricter Records saying, love what you guys are doing. Is going to be ordering one for his artist to play with in a couple of days.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cool. I think we're done here. But if you have any questions, as always, just send them over to us. If you want to join our private Facebook group, send us a DM. We'll get you in there. And yeah, just keep an eye on our Instagram, and we're going to be sharing loads of stuff in the next few weeks.
And one question we did have, I think maybe for this one, was to do with laying a melody down whilst also playing some piano part. We're going to roll that into another either AMA or potentially another video.
Yes.
But we'll
If we, so there's like a nice piano here and stuff. If we do end up back here, then that is something we could possibly do here with. We can maybe do live instruments or something like that, drums or pianos or.
Yeah, Liam did all this stuff with like a reverb pedal that was where all the effects are being controlled by the voice, but it's going through guitar, and we're like, this deserves a video in its own right.
Yeah, same thing. So like, we mentioned about MIDI controls with hardware. There's obviously loads of effects pedals. So if you were playing guitar, and you had a reverb whilst you were using your voice, you could trigger the reverb to get really high, or if you had say a whammy pedal, you could change the octaves on your guitar and everything, all with your voice. So that's really cool. We wanted to like give some
video,
put some time into that. So that will be some point in the future.
Cool. Well, have a great weekend, everyone. Send us more questions. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.